I would like to now call on the dais our next speaker, Professor Dr. Manoj Choudhary, Vice Chancellor of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. Can we have you, sir, here?
Good morning. Today we are talking on a very, very important theme and welcoming all the dignitaries on the dais and thanking the organizers. I want to begin by saying that transportation is the basic human need and also the most important ingredient as we evolve towards becoming a developed country. With the main goal of a transportation sector to ensure first and last mile connectivity and to provide a transportation that is accessible, available, affordable, and secure. It is very important that whenever we want to think about where we should go, it's important to also assess where we are. And maybe over the next 5 minutes, I'll first talk about where we are and then subsequently where we can go. As Vikas Kumarji talked about, Delhi Metro, of course, is a pioneer. And following them, 23 cities are now having metro operations, commencing or progressing to make sure that urban transportation and urban mobility is an important paradigm in India. Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, of course, has been a pioneer. And I also read that with the latest phase of its operations being completed later part of the year, it will become much bigger than the New York Metro. So let's have a very big round of applause for Delhi Metro for leading the way. In 5 days from now, Indian Railways shall complete 172 years of its operation. On 16th of April 1853 was the first time the train ran. Today, we look at Indian Railways carrying more than 7 billion passengers a year, roughly 2 crore people a year. It's a very big number. 2 crore passengers every day on Indian Railways, with more than 7,300 railway stations, with more than 15,000 locomotives, maybe 85,000 coaches, and we added a large number of coaches this year, including 60% of the fraction of which was actually non-air conditioned coaches. We look at the railway track, more than 70,000 kilometer railway track, third or fourth largest railway network in the world, and we added 5,300 kilometer of track length, or roughly 14 to 15 kilometer every day we added. It's a humongous operation if we have to really look at that. In addition, we have more than 350,000 wagons that carried 1.6 billion tons of freight traffic last year, becoming number 2 after China. Therefore, the point I am trying to make is we have made tremendous progress, particularly in the last 10 years in the entire railway sector, both in the passenger traffic as well as in the freight traffic. If you have to look further, today we are in a process to redevelop approximately 3,600 of our stations more as a digital stations. We are now laying down Kavach on a large fractions of our railway network and beginning to do that across locomotives, across the track, across our stations, and completing the entire framework. Not only the locomotives we have, it is also important in terms of the new technologies that we are building. Recently, we know with Siemens in the Daud factory, the 9,000 horsepower locomotive was unveiled. And India shall soon be one of the biggest locomotive exporter. So it is not only make in India, it is also getting make for the world. We are not only relying on what we had in terms of ICF coaches, we have quickly moved to LHB coaches. We are also introducing newer trains in terms of Vande Bharat, Vande Metro, and whatnot. And therefore, along with maintaining our operations that carry 2 crore people every day, we are laying additional tracks, we are modernizing our track infrastructure, we are upgrading our security and safety infrastructure, and at the same time introducing newer trains. Recently, we also saw India's first vertical lift bridge, Pamban Bridge, that was dedicated to the nation. We are also seeing Chenab Bridge, the railway bridge. These are the examples of engineering marvels anywhere in the world, and they are happening in India. And therefore, I must highlight that in all aspects where technology is enabled, where technology is involved, we are making progress. Whether in terms of looking at artificial intelligence, as was talked about, not only for complex demand forecasting, not only for scheduling or routing or operationals, but also looking at how automatically we can detect cracks in the railway track, what we can utilize in terms of machine learning and the machine vision algorithms. When we are making this development, we are not losing sight of the sustainability. With 100 years of electric traction, today we are more than 99% electrified already, perhaps highest in the whole world. We already have announced world's most powerful hydrogen engine for our hydrogen-based train at 1200 horsepower, and we are in the process to roll out the first hydrogen power train in May of this year, that is next month. Therefore, Vikas bhi, Virasat bhi, Bhavishya bhi, we are actually looking in a very sustainable mode. With a very strong target of net zero in Indian Railways in 2030, there are several initiatives that are being taken. And those initiatives, all of them involve technology. A technology, whether in terms of how do we do quality monitoring when we produce wheels in our factories, how do we look at tracks, or as was talked about in terms of sensors that we are doing, in terms of pantograph failure detection systems we are trying to make. So everywhere there is a technology element that is coming, a technology that is coming for identifying before a failure can occur in order to focus on safety. The technology is coming to increase the efficiency of our system. We already know, and it was also announced during the discussions on the budget in the parliament, that Indian Railways is actually spending a significant amount of money for our passenger side, and we have significant amount of subsidy for a country, and therefore that is an example of socially inclusive approach of Indian Railways. In order to provide an increased logistics efficiency in the country and to increase railway share in the freight traffic, with the dedicated freight corridor of 2,843 kilometers, almost, except the last 140 kilometers, is almost complete. And we already know that this being only 4% of the Indian Railways network, it is already carrying around 11% of the railways freight load. And therefore, there is an improvement that is happening on the freight side. In the metro side, the important technological paradigms that Vikasji talked about, and if I have to add further to that, in terms of the lightweight materials, there is a significant amount of research that is happening in the lightweight materials so that we can have more efficient systems. But all of this cannot be done alone. One of the important things that we are today living in 21st century, and we must realize that we are living in an interdependent world, where our success not only depends upon what we do, but also depends upon the complex supply chain and complex networks that we manage to our advantage. None of the things we can do everything by ourselves, and therefore collaboration is a very, very important paradigm. 21st century, if we say, belongs to India and we become Viksit Bharat, it is also important to know that being the biggest democracy in the world, all of our development is of the people, for the people, and by the people, and we must have very, very talented people in the sector in order to transform this whole sector. Today, I represent a university, which is India's only university that provide training and programs for rail engineering, the only university in the whole of India to do so. We today have bachelor's degree program, master's degree program, doctoral program in the rail engineering, being the only university in India to do so. In cooperation with Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, we are currently offering an MBA program in metro rail management, the only program in whole of India. We have a very strong partnership with all the players in the railway sector, including Siemens, who are sponsoring all of our female students who are below a certain income level. Their complete financial need is taken care by Siemens. What the point I am trying to highlight is not about our university, but the point that when we have to develop and we have to proceed and develop faster, the power of collaboration is making it 1 + 1 = 11 and not 2, and that is something that is very important. In many of the technology projects, with Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, we are offering joint programs. We are also looking at the best in the world, including Monash Institute of Rail Technology, with Indian Railways, several production units. Like a new bridge was unveiled, we also conducted 2 weeks training program in bridge engineering. We already introduced bridge and tunnel engineering as an important program. So many of these aspects are happening to prepare superior human resources who shall lead the technology-enabled world as we try to transform the entire transportation sector, and in particularly railways. Therefore, on one side, we are innovating. If you look at the number of the startups in the railway sector and focusing on artificial intelligence, focusing on quality control, focusing on automatic scheduling, routing, operations, there is a surge in that along with the entire Startup India mission. This whole sector of railways, actually, there is tremendous potential for innovation, and therefore, I believe that a lot more action will happen on this front in the next 5 or 6 years to come. In terms of sustainability, I already spoke about, and therefore, if you have to comprehensively view, we are actually having a very solid foundation. We are improving our freight carrying capability, we are improving amenities for our passengers, we are improving comfort for them, convenience for them, introduction of high-speed trains, introduction of semi-high-speed trains like Vande Bharat, and expanding them. We are actually in a phase of transformation, and I am very, very optimistic that when we work together, we shall all be able to see the country that we all aspire to see. Thank you so much.
Thanks for connecting how education has an symbiotic relation with railways also today.